Welcome to the Cryptonaut podcast. My name is Mark Storrs, and with me, as always, is Mr. Robert Thomas Morphy II.
How's it going?
And of course, Mr. Christopher Carnicelli. Chris, what up?
Hi.
So, we are back behind the screens in the metaverse because one of us has COVID.
Oh, guess which one? Who's the lucky recipient? Who's the guy that's sitting here and his mouth feels like he's been blowing a roll of pennies all day? This fucker right now.
Oh, there you go.
I outed
Yeah.
Yep.
No, Chris got it twice. I got it once. Rob got it this week.
My first bout.
Yeah, you got your first bout, and you got your antiviral pill, and one of the side effects is that it makes your mouth taste like you've been blowing a roll of pennies, like you said. So
yes, it is. It is horrible. But OJ actually kills the taste. I'm fine.
Oh, good.
So I'm pounding OJ. I'm feeling pretty good, all things considered. And
yeah, you sound way better.
And we're here. We're here to make this happen, remote style.
Yeah, no, I'm going to start calling you Dr. Doom Mouth. So
yeah, between two bouts of strep, a hospital stay, some cellulitis, and now COVID. I mean, the fuck. Dude. I'm just going to plow through it. I cannot take any more pods off, or we're just going to have to cancel. And we
are on a great trajectory for 2023. We are doing.
I know.
We finally got Chris back, and then Rob took a complete nosedive on us.
No, I'm still head above water. Temporary layoffs, good times. Awesome. Yeah, I could do the whole song, but we're not going to go there.
Wicked. All right, guys. This week, Easter was yesterday when this is coming out, but regardless, we're going to be doing this. We're talking Easter Bunny Enigmas. Ooh. Yeah. We're talking some creepy Easter Bunny shit?
It sure seems like it.
Okay, excellent. Well, let's get started with, for most, the Easter Bunny is a beloved childhood icon offering up sweet memories of simpler time. But for an unlucky few, the Easter Bunny is less of a cherished fantasy figure and more of a haunting reality wherein this furry, long-eared fiend has become the stuff of living nightmares.
Pretty troublesome.
Ooh. Yeah. Dude. I mean, this does not sound happy Peter Cottontail Easter Bunny-ish, so I'm kind of excited to learn some new terrifying tales about said Easter Bunny.
Some of it's not so bad. Some of it's just flat out weird. Others get a little darker, and we're going to progress. I'm actually glad you guys did not get a chance to read this beforehand because it gets pretty fucking batshit.
Awesome. All right.
Take yourself back to your earliest memories, to a time when things were neither fact or fiction, with that dark, creeping, nebulous miasma of the unknown lurking in between. But when the world was such a vast and unknowable commodity that everything seemed possible and nothing was ruled out by cold, hard logic. It is within this universally youthful mindscape that legends thrive. Perhaps, as most parents do, yours admonished you not to believe in ghosts or monsters skulking in closets or under your bed, but when it came to beatific beasts or friendly fae, like Christmas elves, tooth fairies, or leprechauns, all was fair game. Within this mythic menagerie was another anomalous animal that we were taught brought joy to children worldwide, the Easter Bunny. Can you imagine a time when it was perfectly reasonable to believe that an altruistic, anthropomorphic rabbit actually entered your home in the dead of night to give us candy in plastic grass-filled baskets, after which he would, for reasons I still can't fathom, hide the eggs we dyed in a panoply of hues, only for us to track them down like junior big game hunters, with the only trophy being the dubious honor of being able to eat multicolored 3-day-old hard-boiled eggs? The older we get, the harder it becomes to travel back to that headspace. Yet for millions of children the world over, the Easter Bunny remains a reality, if only in the minds of the believer. But there are a select few for whom this fabled amalgam of secular legend and Christian belief is not merely a figment of their imaginations, but a living, breathing, long-eared entity who they claim to have encountered in the so-called real world. And that's where we're going to get into the shit.
Nice.
Our first case comes to us from Lon Strickler's always fascinating Phantoms and Monsters website, post dated April 25th, 2018, under the headline, "Yes, I Saw the Easter Bunny." In it, witness LM writes, quote, "I saw the Easter Bunny when I was 6 or 7 years old. It was on Easter morning and I got up to use the washroom. As I crossed the hallway, I could see into the kitchen where the Easter blanket sat on the table. He was standing in front of the kitchen table and looking right at me. He was white in color, about 4 feet tall, maybe 5 feet, including the ears. He looked kind of Hello Kitty-ish, like a cartoon bunny, if that makes sense. Not scary or creepy, but not how I would have pictured him. I would have pictured more of a Beatrix Potter looking Easter bunny. I didn't look into the kitchen on my way back from the washroom because I was afraid that he wouldn't leave any treats. That's a common fear, by the way, we will find in some of these accounts. Neither I nor my sister received any bunny stuffed toys as part of our Easter loot that year. I thought it was really cool at the time, and then in later years, I assumed it must have been a dream. After hearing these stories, though, I don't know.
No.
So, no big stuffed bunnies to make a mistake. Just some weird fucking bunny. dude.
Yeah, and being like 4 to 5 feet tall, hanging out in the kitchen, like that's person sized. I'm not sure what the Easter bunny, like what his proportions are supposed to be, but I didn't think it was like 4 to 5 feet. Like that's way more terrifying.
Well, if you're going back, I think the first mention of it was in like some German Lutheran communities. And it was like in the, 1600s, 1682, when George Frick von Fraukenau wrote about it. So it's a legend that goes back, but in that case, it was just a bunny. It was a bunny that just brought you eggs and judged you Santa style. Like if you were fucking up, if you weren't fucking up. Like I don't think it had a Krampus element. Like I don't think it whipped you with like fucking pussy willow tails or something. But
that would have been better.
That would have been so cool.
You're egg free in fucking 1323 if you weren't doing good shit as a boy and girl. Yeah. I don't know why you wanted eggs so bad, but I guess you were probably starving. It was probably Black Plague times. I don't know history. Maybe that was the 1300s. It still sucked.
I like the idea of a judgmental rabbit. Like, will I leave you eggs or will I shit in your basket?
But a regular size judgy rabbit.
Yeah, but not this 4-foot shit. All right.
So
man, well,
this modern mythos of the Easter bunny, this humanoid anthropomorphic one, that's a newer thing. The thing about it, and we're not going to get too caught up in this because we got a lot of accounts to get to, and obviously we'll be breaking it all down at the end. But if it's only 5 feet tall with the ears, that's either another kid in a suit that shouldn't be in your fucking house that early, a hallucination or something like that, or there's something really weird going on.
Do you think it's a stand your ground kind of situation?
Dude, so many of these are going to like test your limits and your inability to not shoot cryptids, I think.
I got that fucking...
So,
I love that like our cameras, like me and Rob, our cameras suck balls, but Chris is so fucking high def that his like, like the
it's just 1080, dude.
Yeah, but like just seeing like the disappointment is so much clearer now.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, I can just see like the eyes, you're like, God damn it. Just a little bit of life leaves his eyes. Like Mark's going to shoot the fucking Easter.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't even know where to put our cameras. Mine is like 98% John Holmes microphone right in my face.
Really
You've got some weird shit going, so artsy-fartsy French New Wave bullshit. And Chris is just clearly sitting there with a nice camera, not washed out in a bright light like my bald head.
Because he's the only normal one here.
Mark's arm is right in front of his fucking face. It's the funniest thing. I'm like, do you know how to set up a fucking camera, dude?
Dude, this is a brand new Mark arm that I got from Amazon, and I haven't fucked with it yet. And I like set it up, and I was like, "Oh fuck this thing! I'll take care of it later." Anyway,
fair enough.
Back to Easter.
Yeah,
moving on to Easter celebrations.
Okay. Our second case, thank you, also comes to us from Phantoms and Monsters, dated April 10, 2020, criminals, by way of native ghost stories, and regards a shapeshifter black upright rabbit seen on Easter Sunday somewhere in northern Alabama. And there I did it.
Dude, you just did the thing.
The fuck I did.
You fucking did the thing.
I did the fucking thing.
Dude,
and it was completely unintentional. Alabama Slammer. Wow.
Oh my God.
Man, Raccoon Dog, Alabama. That's where Bobby got that red. Woo, Alabama.
Holy dude, COVID's taking your mind.
Yeah, it's taking a toll. It's eating the brain.
A toilet took your tooth, and now COVID's taking your mind. Oh man.
God, everything's being stolen.
Oh Jesus. Let the terror end.
Alabama. The experiencer's unnamed mother wrote, quote, Easter a few years ago, Sunday, April 20th, 2014, I woke up around 3 a.m. and couldn't go back to sleep. So I sat up quietly waiting for my kids to wake up and discover their Easter baskets. Right around 6 a.m., I hear my youngest son squeal in delight. I knew it. I knew he was real. Oh my God, everyone come look. At this time, I jumped out of my bed and started for his room to see what was going on. When I opened the door, he was looking out the window towards the woods. I asked him what the commotion was all about, and he would say that the Easter bunny was looking in his window. Mind you, this window is about 5.5 feet off the ground. Confused, I asked him to describe exactly what he saw. He told me he woke up to a giant black bunny staring at him, and he could see from the shoulders up. By my calculations, that would make the bunny about 10 feet tall with the ears. My son said that when he locked eyes with the bunny, he squealed in delight. The bunny turned around and hopped away towards the well house, and that's when I walked into the room. My son isn't one to make up stories, and I believe he really saw something. I just don't think he saw a 10-foot Easter bunny. I talked to a shaman. He thinks it was a shapeshifter that my son saw. So that's interesting.
Okay.
It's fascinating to think that a trickster being from Native American lore would adopt the guise of a pseudo-Christian icon to, evidently, enthrall a small child. But, after all, imitating familiar things is what these entities are wont to do. Our third story was posted on YourGhostStories.com on March 17, 2019, by a woman named Elena Maria, who hailed from Michigan. She claimed to have seen not a living humanoid bunny man, but a sinister spectral stuffed animal. She wrote, "Before I get started, this happened a long time ago. I'm almost 20 and it happened when I was 5 or 6. That's adorable that seems like a long time to her. That's so cute. At that age, I didn't know anything about ghosts, and I don't know if this was a ghost, but I can tell you I wasn't hallucinating. I'll give you a basic description of my house. My bedroom is the furthest room in the house. If you walk out of my room, there is a hallway that leads to the dining room. There are a few rooms on both sides. My mom's room is right next to mine, then a guest room, and then the bathroom, so keep this in mind. On Easter morning, right around 4 in the morning, I woke up. It was normal for me because I would have to use the bathroom. I didn't sleep with my door closed at the time, so it was open. I never liked to use the bathroom because it was too far away from my room. I'm scared of the dark. But that night, I wanted to use the bathroom. I walked to my door and looked down the hallway and into the dining room, and you know how little kids take pictures with the life-sized Easter bunny? Yeah, there was one in my dining room. Like this thing was huge, and being a little kid, this was scary. The lights weren't on, and I didn't want to turn them on. Being a little kid, things went through my mind like, what if I'll get killed? Jesus Christ, that's terrible.
That's awful. Okay.
Or what if I won't get my basket? Again, another kid, like kid logic.
Worry about being
candy.
No, worry about being killed.
She worried about life
Right.
first, but candy's going to be a close second. When
Candy shouldn't even be on your brain. Like this
Dead
is gonna
or no basket.
death or no basket.
Both equally terrible in a 5 and 6-year-old's mind.
Yeah.
Save it for Patreon.
I decided not to go to my bathroom, and I went into my mom's. My mom was in her bed. Trust me, I checked. I stayed in her room for 5 minutes, and then I went out to go back to my room. It was gone. No one believes me when I tell them the story, and it makes me upset because it's very true. Please let me know if this has happened to you. So,
It is not.
again,
No.
it has not, but odd. Just odd. Like there, and evidently not there the next day. So there wasn't a giant super stuffed bunny that she mistook in the dark as something ominous.
Right.
And then in the light of day, it's adorable and fluffy, and she, becomes her like TV watching pillow or something. It's just not there the next day.
It could have been a murderer, man.
Well, I'd talk about that next. Was Elena Maria contending with a stuffed phantom, a costumed criminal, or something altogether more insidious? It's difficult to know, but none of the options seem to be particularly comforting. Our third case comes to us from Reddit, and like Elena Marie before, may well less be a story of interacting with a paranormal entity and more of a case of a child coming into contact with a potentially dangerous costumed predator. Our fourth account was posted by a user named AggravatingFix9178 under the title,
Nice.
The Easter Bunny is Real.
Oh boy.
He wrote, "When I was about 3 or 4 years old, me and my mom lived in a small brick house in a pretty poverty-ridden neighborhood. One night, our heat, or AC, I don't remember which, was not working, so me, her boyfriend, and her all slept on a large inflatable mattress in the living room near a portable air conditioner / Hester. Probably a heater now that I think about it. I love how it's a real-time memory unfolding. Anyway, I woke up in the middle of the night for some odd reason, and I sat up. I noticed my mom and her boyfriend were still asleep. A couple feet away was the kitchen doorway, and when I looked into the doorway, I shit you not, stood somebody in an Easter bunny costume. Yes, a fucking Easter bunny costume. I tried to wake my mom and her boyfriend up, but they just would not wake up. I was scared beyond scared. I was fucking horrified. I didn't know what else to do but hide under the blanket and mentally block it out, and that's what I did. I've never had an experience again like this one. I call it my Easter Bunny story, and I tell it to anyone I become extremely good friends with, and I have told all of my family about this. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, I've had other weird experiences in my life before, like standing in the middle of nowhere and hearing someone say my name directly in my ear despite no one being around. Yes, I've been mentally evaluated. No, I don't have schizophrenia. And no, I've never been diagnosed, with anything outside of ADHD and ADD. Okay. So again, not necessarily something supernatural, but something definitely disturbing.
Yeah, what's funny about it is in both those two accounts there, they're talking like Easter Bunny costume. Like you're looking at it, you're like, oh, it's a person in a costume. Not like, I guess like owl like Donnie Darko or something. But, like when you go with the kids and you're like, oh, let's go to the Easter basket the thing. And you got the bunny person dressed up and you can kind of see them through the eyes and shit like that.
The almost ubiquitously horrible looking bunny people, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Like anytime you see pictures of kids with a fake Easter bunny, it's like so much darker than shitty Santa pictures.
Yeah.
They're just creepy as the dills.
They've gotten better in the last decade or two, but yeah, like in the 80s, it was like purposely terrifying.
Yeah, like
they
didn't
make a scarier costume.
They didn't even
try. They did it on purpose at this point.
Like I feel like they were made secretly by church groups to scare people back to Christ's arms. It's about resurrection, bitches, not chocolate bunnies.
Wait a minute,
together.
Come on. To scare them back to Christ's arms.
Yes,
I mean,
it
possible.
almost worked.
Oh, I love it. That's great. All right, continuing on, Robert.
Aggravating Fix 9178 added that the costume being was at least 7 feet tall, meaning it was an extremely tall trespasser, it was wearing lifts, or more unnervingly, that whatever was in this costume was not quite human. A subject we'll be dealing with more in a bit, and that's going to be fun. But for now, here are a few more corroborating accounts that were posted beneath Aggravating Fix's account. The first one is by Crystalline B, who wrote, I legit saw the same thing when I was around 7 or 8. No one believed me and to this day won't even listen to me tell my story. My uncle used to joke that it was him trying to scare me, but when I asked him in recent years, he said he was only telling me that as a joke. He thought I was lying as a kid. End quote. Next up is Ashlaylyn, and she added, holy shit, I'm not even lying when I tell you this. I had to have been about 6 or 7 years old, and I saw the same thing. I told my mom several times that I saw the Easter Bunny. When I described it to her, I essentially described what it looks like when someone wears an Easter Bunny costume. As I got older, I brushed it off as a dream. It would occasionally cross my mind throughout my life. Seeing this post blows my mind, though. Finally, Whack Reddits contributed his thoughts. I believe you too. At the same age, I was almost 4. We were living in British Columbia at the time, and it was the night before Easter, and I was excited. I've never forgotten this. I wake up and sit up. I don't see anything, but outside of our living room, I can hear something super heavy going hop, hop, hop. It was heavy, like the whole place was shaking. I was obviously scared, and it was only me and my mom that lived there, and she was asleep beside me. I tried to wake her up, nothing. So I huddled beside her until I fell back asleep. Freaky, end quote. So just little, I guess, affirmations, but no real detail to expound upon.
Yeah.
Yeah, but everyone's sort of having similar situations, which is interesting.
But we're going to get moving into slightly different territory at this point. Our next story hails from an article published on singularfortean.com. The report titled Strange Encounter on Easter was written by Tobias and Emily Wayland and was published on April 23rd, 2022. The account was sent by an anonymous eyewitness who on January 10th, 2022 wrote, Hello, I saw your posting looking for strange holiday encounters and stories. I've never gone on record with the story, but I can still picture it in my head as clear as the day it happened. I don't tell many people this story, as it's often met with ridicule or disbelief, but I can swear on a stack of Bibles that I remember it happening. It happened when I was a child. I'm 28 now, so I must have been 7 years old or younger at the time. I was very young. I would say maybe 1999 or 2000, but I'm not fully sure. I remember it was Easter morning. I was on the floor of my parents' living room watching some Easter special, playing with whatever new toy I got in my Easter basket, and feasting upon chocolate goodies. I can clearly remember not hearing any sort of sound or something that would draw my attention, yet I looked out the sliding glass door of the living room that went to the fenced-in backyard. We lived in a residential neighborhood on a busy street with numerous neighbors around, so we weren't out in the sticks by any means. As I looked out the sliding glass door, I saw a flash of color. I distinctly remember white and blue and purple. I got up and looked out the window and saw something I will never forget. Jumping over the fence into our backyard was a 6 to 7 foot tall rabbit man. It had the face of a rabbit with those cold, darting eyes and twitching nose, ears up and tall, white to cool blue / purple coloring on its fur. So now we're getting into man rabbit territory. Not creepy suit dudes.
right.
Man rabbit is so much worse. People in a suit, fine.
I'm in.
You're gonna, like Chris said, death or baskets, but man rabbit, whole different fucking ball game.
Man rabbit, dude.
It's the way
Rabbit
it
of a
is.
man.
Rabbit of a man.
Alabama.
Speaking of baskets, it didn't have an Easter basket or anything funny like that. It stood on 2 legs, which were flat like a rabbit's hind legs, but with large, powerful haunches. I don't remember what exactly the arms looked like, but I remember it held them close to its body. It jumped over the fence from the neighbor's house and landed in our yard. I stood there in awe as this thing hopped across the backyard. It stood for a second and looked at me and proceeded to jump over the adjacent fence into the next neighbor's yard. That was the last I saw of it. I immediately told my parents of what I saw, and they laughed and said I've watched too many Easter specials. They confirmed with me there was nobody running around the neighborhood in an Easter bunny costume. This was in broad daylight, so it was odd that nobody else took notice of this thing. Maybe I was the only one who could see it." End quote. It's a shame that the young precipient's parents apparently didn't bother to scan the backyard for any massive upheavals of dirt or grass or check to see if any patches of fur were caught on the fence in order to either confirm or refute their child's bizarre story. But so it goes. So that brings us, like I say, into bunny man bunny territory.
Yeah. That's like a cryptid like that. Or I don't know if it's a cryptid, but yeah, I guess. If
It's closer to a cryptid than, if you have to instantly lump it into something, and
Right.
we only have so many categories, like occult, I guess supernatural and occult are kind of synonymous, ufology, cryptozoology. Cryptozoology is the easy one to toss it into quick. That's the candy basket. So
Yeah, it is, but the colors are kind of weird.
Yeah, I was
colors
gonna
are
say,
real weird.
Purple's not. It's weird.
It's like was it wearing clothes? Was it like dyed?
No. I mean, who knows if it was dyed or not, but it was not beclothed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it's better that it wasn't, or is it worse that it was? I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about
Well,
clothes.
we'll deal with that soon enough, buddy.
Okay, awesome, cool.
As to what this might have been, the closest example I can come up with are the huge 3 to 5 million year old fossilized remains of giant rabbits that were discovered on the stunning island of Minorca off of the coast of Spain. These colossal critters were given the scientific name Neurologus rex, king of the rabbits. But there is no fathomable reason why their heretofore unidentified descendants, or for that matter, long-dead spectral forms, would be hopping around North America on Easter Sunday, unless extinct rabbits have a better sense of humor than they're often given credit for. So, big bunnies, not really a thing.
Did you
except
say
in ancient times.
Like ghost bunnies?
Ghost bunnies. Giant ghost bunnies from the past. Why not?
Dude, it's like Night of the Lepus, but they're ghosts.
Ghostodons. That's mastodon ghosts. There's lots of things.
Cool.
That would also be iguanodon ghosts. Anything that's Don. Just
Go
Don's
Don.
ahoy.
Don.
I'm a rabbit ghost. It's a fucking Don.
That's Don.
It's
That's
a
totally
fuck-
Don
oh,
pretending to be a rabbit
dude.
ghost. Yeah.
You totally big lewd that fucker.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus, don't.
Sort of. Yeah, sort of.
Oh, God.
Fucking wow.
Jesus Christ. I love it.
Christ almighty. Our next case, titled Illinois Woman Reports Childhood Sighting of 6-foot-tall bipedal rabbit on Easter, was also written by the Whalens for Singular 14 and was published on May 5th, 2022. The article begins, "The Singular 14 Society was contacted recently by Sharon, an Illinois woman who said that when she was 8 or 9 years old, she awoke early on Easter morning to see a 6-foot-tall white bipedal rabbit hopping through her backyard. The experiencer wrote, "It was just after sunup Easter morning, 1961 or 1962, a little north of Northwestern University in Illinois. I was 8 or 9 years old and knew that there were 2 Easter bunnies called Mom and Dad. I have never liked the mornings, but I woke up that morning just as it started to get light and decided to check out the Easter baskets for my little sister and me. They were on the coffee table in the den. I sat on the couch and began inspecting the baskets when I saw something unusual in our backyard. I could hardly miss it because it was in direct line of sight with the baskets and it was big. It was a 6-foot-tall white bipedal rabbit wearing a black vest embroidered with little glass beads of all colors, or so it seemed." So now we get to the clothing part.
Dude, it has a battle vest? That's
It has
awesome.
a battle vest with fucking, I guess, gimp or whatever the beads are called.
Oh,
bedazzled.
yeah. It's bedazzled, yeah. I wonder if it had like a cool like Voivod or like creator patch on the back of it. That'd be kind of dope.
Rain and blood. Fucking.
Oh, yeah, dude. It's got fucking show no mercy in the back. Sweet goat dude. That'd be fucking dope.
I think we're wishful thinking here. I think it was just like pretty little beads.
That's what I think. That's what I picture too. I picture it's more like an Elton John type vest. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Yeah, that seems fair.
Yeah.
Dude, just a 6-foot-tall rabbit with the Elton John sense of fashion would be fucking awesome.
All the glasses. Could you imagine a bunny man in a Donald Duck suit? That would be brilliant.
I love it. All right.
Okay.
Well, here we go.
It was about 15 feet from the house, facing away from it, so I saw it in profile. It was standing still next to our 7-foot-tall blue spruce tree, about 25 to 30 feet away from me for maybe half a minute, long enough for me to get a good look at it. It never looked in my direction, unlike the other poor kid that had to make fucking direct eye contact.
Yeah.
It took a short leap before it hopped like a kangaroo, but with shorter hops. Each hop was double the speed of the last, and the rabbit quickly became a white and black, the vest, in parentheses, blur, and vanished before it would have hit the back fence. After that, I poked my head into Mom and Dad's bedroom, not to see if one of them had put on a show because I already knew that it was not a person in a rabbit costume, but if they were awake, I wanted to tell them what I saw. They were sound asleep and so was my sister, so I went back to bed and woke up at the normal time. I never uttered a sound from the time I first woke up until the second time. Even our Airedale Terrier slept through it. Everyone's first priority was the Easter basket opening ceremony, and that's when I told my whole family what I saw, who loved it, especially my sister, who was 3 or 4 years old. I have never been shy about telling folks what I saw that Easter morning from the start until this day. I'm not the Lone Ranger. I've heard of other encounters with giant bunnies, be it Easter or not. It is my only anomalous experience other than a near-death experience around the age 5. Wow, that's scary. Until
Jesus.
decades later, end quote. So there's 2 things I think to unpack here primarily. First is the rabbit turns into the Flash, joins the Speed Force, and manages to fucking phase through the fence.
Yep.
So that has to be presented
Seemingly, yeah.
as non-cryptozoological, at least in traditional terms, unless super bunnies are just that fucking fast.
Okay.
Yeah.
The second issue goes back to bed, which the skeptical part of me makes me go, well, you know, I'll read this and it'll say the same thing. Considering the fact that she admits she went back to bed, it would be easy to dismiss Sharon's account as nothing more than a lucid dream, and perhaps she felt the same way. That would be until decades later when she saw something that made her uncanny recollections come flooding back. She explained the moment to Tobias Wayland, stating, quote, "I've not seen a real giant rabbit or any other giant animal before or since, but half a century later, a related incident chilled me to the bone. It was an early scene in Steven Spielberg's miniseries Taken, when I saw the boy opening his shuttered bedroom window in the middle of the night to see a giant squirrel beckoning him. My heart jumped into my throat. My knees nearly buckled. I had shivers from head to toe. I grew up watching Svengoolie, nice Svengoolie shout out, and never had that sort of reaction." This TV-induced flashback made Sharon wonder if she had misinterpreted her childhood experience, saying, quote, "Since then I have asked myself, did I see the Easter Bunny or an E.T. posing as the Easter Bunny? I'm going to go with the real Easter Bunny because it was and still is fun, and I have never had any recollection of abduction or missing time," adding, Even after 60 years, the picture in my brain is 3D real. The grass, the needles on the blue spruce, and the snow white fur and big shiny black eyes of the bunny. Note that solid white rabbits I've seen in pet stores and in county fairs all have pink eyes. So that's an intriguing thing. Like albino bunnies do have the red eyes. I don't know if every white bunny that comes down the pike has red eyes and not white, but that's just another anomalous thing that she picked out. So there's going to be another mention of this this TV show later, wherein I think it was I don't remember watching Taken. And I'm surprised too. I'm a Spielberg fan. I love alien stuff, but it just must have come out at a time when I had shit going on. But it's like a cartoon squirrel, basically playing up to what a lot of investigators have said. Greys or other abducting aliens make themselves look like a child-friendly character, sometimes an outright cartoon, in order to get the help of or to attract children to come into their craft instead of just actively abducting them like they do with adults. Right. I don't know why they employ that, if it's somehow just better to have them come willing or what.
Yeah, like some weird camouflage. Like, oh, the kids are going to like this. And then they get the kids involved and like Pied Piper them into the ship or some shit. But yeah, it's creepy. Especially the whole, like the angle of the alien just posing like that. Like, it's weird. All right. Well.
And I get why you'd make that assumption, especially seeing something like that. But again, that's just speculation on her part.
Right.
There's no reason to assume that this is an alien. Right. Or not, but you just can't do that.
It's a fashionable rabbit that can move super fast with the Speed Force.
That is a nice vest.
It's fucking dope vest.
Okay. Are the black eyes an indication that this anthropomorphic oddity was actually not a rabbit at all, massive or otherwise? Could we again be dealing with a shapeshifter or some other unquantifiable entity? Our next to last case comes to us from the invaluable Beyond Creepy YouTube channel under the heading Strange Things, Tooth Fairy, Easter Bunny, and more. Clearly, we're going to just be focused on the Easter Bunny here. In the video, Mr. Black reported, quote, "When most people think of the Easter Bunny, they imagine a cute, cuddly rabbit delivering eggs and gifts to happy children. However, there's at least one encounter in paranormal literature which bucks that happy image. For Mike B., his sighting of an entity that he likened to the Easter Bunny would leave him terrified. This bizarre case can also be found in the files of author and paranormal investigator Stephen Wagner's paranoidabout.com. Mike B. claimed that as a 7-year-old, he and his 9-year-old sister were staying at their grandmother's house on Easter Eve. They were both lying in bed with their grandmother, but while the women slept, Mike, who was already chilled to the bone due to his sister's penchant for hogging the blankets, was determined to stay awake in order to catch the Easter Bunny in the act of delivering his goodies. It would be a decision that he would come to regret. Quote, "So I was trying to fight with my sleeping sister, and all of a sudden I heard hopping downstairs. I was confused. I didn't hear the door open. Then I heard something hop up the stairs. I started to pinch myself. Yes, I was awake and cold, and I started to sweat, a bit overwhelmed. The hopping noise was coming up the stairs. Mike closed his eyes, fearing that the intruder might know he was awake. He, or rather it, entered the room. Even though Mike's eyes were closed, he could feel the creature grab the blanket and pull it over him. Mike listened intently, his eyes sealed shut, as he heard the thing hop over to the other side of the room. It was when he could no longer bear the suspense that he decided to finally take a peek at this mysterious intruder. Quote, I couldn't believe it. He hopped to the other side of the bed toward the window and just stood there. I got a quick peek. A huge rabbit, human-sized, with big ears pointed up. I was shocked. It couldn't be real. He was just standing there looking at my grandma. He just stood there."
Oh, God, that's creepy.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really
staring
is.
at Grandma sleeping, you're like, fuck.
Yeah.
Wake up. Come on, Graham. Get the fuck out of bed. Graham. Wake up. God damn it.
Old Country Buffet. I'm giving you keywords. Wake up.
That's what gets Graham out of bed.
That's how you get Graham out of bed.
Graham OCB.
Well, yeah.
The carving station's open and they just refilled the ham quick.
Ham will get you up. Ham will wake me up. I've woken up to the smell of ham a few times, and
I'm more of a roast beef guy myself.
I'm a big fan of that. Turkey too. Roasting
R.I.P. Dude, R.I.P. OCB.
All right, back at Mike's. Understandably unable to sleep, Mike, through slit eyes, maintained a vigil over the quasi-human bunny man who was still creepily staring down at his slumbering grandmother. It's unknown what this creature's obsession was with the senior citizen, but as the light of dawn began to filter in through the window, Mike stared in wonder as the man bunny simply faded in the harsh glare of the early sun. He continued, I was speechless. I got up and looked around. Nothing was there, end quote. Mr. Black then speculated, quote, had Mike encountered a human-sized Easter bunny, or is this some type of sleep paralysis, hypnagogic, actually I think he meant hypnopompic, because it's about when you're waking up rather than going to sleep, but either way, hallucination. There are, he goes on to say, accounts of giant human-sized rabbits in paranormal literature, including one spotted in an area known for UFO and Bigfoot activity. They typically don't show up inside people's homes. Most giant rabbit encounters occur in forest settings, often by shocked hunters and hikers. The fact that this entity seemed to be inside the house leads me to wonder if it was some type of hallucination and nothing more. End quote.
All right, yeah, so it's just staring down Graham being a creep, and then like it gets it phases or it gets beamed up apparently, where because that Star Trek thing.
It dies in the sunlight like a vampire.
Oh,
or
yeah,
it's invisible in direct sunlight, but only in the shadows of night and moonlight. It can show up.
You both go to it dies in the sunlight.
Yeah, no, I mean, I just picture it fading away. It's like, when you wake up from, when you have those in-between dreams or whatever, right? When something just kind of goes away. That's true. That's what I kind of picture in my mind's eye.
Sunlight is the best antiseptic. I mean, when you're fucking around and sick and doing shit, that you open up those windows, you pull those shades, you let that shit burn through. Maybe it works for evil entities. But then here's the other question. What makes this thing evil? He was staring at grandma. All right, creepy. Frankly, we all can acknowledge that. But poor fucking Mike was freezing his tits off. Easter Bunny covers him up, walks to the other side of the bed, looks at grandma. Maybe just like, I don't know, supportingly, or like, oh man, you don't have much for this world, and I'm so glad you're loving your kids, or who the fuck knows? Maybe it was grandpa reincarnated, but we don't know. It was nefarious just because it's creepy as shit.
I mean, I'm just
sure. Could have been the guardian angel.
Could have been.
It could
have been the fucking Reaper, just being like, hey.
Oh, guess what, Graham?
Reaper.
Your time has come, Graham. Oh, have you got
dude he did say he was cold and sweating, so he probably had a fever.
Yeah, he's probably
he probably was sick.
He had a fever
He's just
dream.
walking around seeing some shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Okay.
That's true.
All right. Well, these are all possibilities we have to entertain.
So, in terms of fever dreams, I continued. Like the devil and diabetes, only a fool would take hallucination off the table, be it hypnagogic, hypnopompic, or otherwise. But one cannot rule out alternative theories. Tobias Whalen mentioned a few in his article writing, multiple competing hypotheses exist to explain these holiday-themed encounters, with the most skeptical including dreams, hallucinations, misidentifications, and outright hoaxes, while more paranormal explanations include Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, and other such entities as living thought forms that, for those who don't know that, think of Tulpa, basically something that's manifested through belief alone.
Oh, Tulpa territory, I love it.
Along with the possibility that these images are being used as a disguise or otherwise projected by another unrelated paranormal entity or phenomenon, end quote. All of these hypotheses are valid and worthy of inclusion in any discussion regarding fantasy figures come to life, but there might be a simpler explanation, albeit much weirder. To that end, our final case was sent to the Cryptonaut podcast via email dated February 23rd, 2023. The experiencer, a 68-year-old man who we will refer to only as David, claimed that in 1959 he had an encounter with an Easter Bunny-like being who attempted to lure him away from his house. It is an experience that has literally haunted him for decades. In his own words, quote, I'm 68 years old, went to my first UFO convention a few months ago at the UFO Congress in Arizona. At the experiencer session, I was going to talk about my Phoenix Lights sighting in 1997. That's dope. Yes, two people spoke about childhood experiences with the Easter Bunny approaching them and trying to get them to go with them. I had a very similar experience about 1959, but my encounter was much less animated than their experiences was. I commented twice on Reddit, the second time most recently hoping to get some answers, but mostly it's been very negative. One person mentioned you. Here is the link to the page and my story. I've sat on it for over 60 years. Maybe you have some insight on the topic. So, clicking on his Reddit post, I read as David set the scene for this most unusual encounter. Let's go to his direct words. Over 60 years ago, when I was about 5 years old in southern Ohio on a farm my grandmother owned, very country area, gravel roads, no plumbing, well in the backyard, outhouse down the hill. We had chickens in the yard surrounded by cornfield and pasture across the gravel road for dairy cows. One morning I was on the porch alone. Suddenly the chickens and rooster cleared the yard fast. Some ran under the house, some into the cornfield about 20 feet from the house. They disappeared fast and were totally silent. Something scared them. Chickens aren't chicken. They will put up a fight with intruders, especially roosters. Something scared the heck out of them. I stayed on the porch looking for what scared them, when what looked like a stuffed toy Easter bunny came around the side of the house. Blue with a white tummy, pink inner ears, button eyes. Kind of looked used. So it's an old bratty ass bunny.
Oh,
Yeah.
It walked like if you were playing with a child and holding a toy from behind, wobbling your hand to make the toy look like it was walking. I couldn't see nothing behind the Easter bunny moving it. I'm staring at it. It's staring at me. It's kind of off center, leaning towards the left a bit. Little stubby feet and paws like a stuffed animal. Then it started talking without moving its mouth. It wanted me to go with it to play and help it do something, like an adult playing with a child, moving the stuffed toy and talking for the toy. It kept trying to get me to go with it around the side of the house. The chickens disappearing so suddenly scared me. The bunny didn't, but I've seen those chickens attack stray dogs and snakes in the yard, pecking the snakes to death, and this bunny was scaring the heck out of them. I probably would have gone with the Easter bunny, but didn't because of the chicken's reaction. Finally, the bunny was backing away, kind of bouncing like someone was holding it until it was out of sight by the side of the house. I stayed on the porch and swung over the edge of the house to see where the bunny was going. At that time, it turned around and I saw it from behind. I froze, and this is where things go off the fucking rails. I clearly saw the back of the stuffed bunny, but behind it was what looked like a four-legged tiny dinosaur.
huh?
Let's just let that sink in for a second. Its head or snout was stuck into the back of the bunny. It was greenish, had spikes down its back and down its tail. The bunny was probably 3 feet tall or a bit more to the top of its ears. The little dinosaur was around 2 to 2.5 feet tall. I ran in the house and told my grandmother. She went outside looking for it and we never found it. My grandmother, born in 1889, told me if anything like that happened again, never go with it.
Oh, dude.
Why? Is there some sort of lore? Look,
Yes!
Explain.
Grandma knows what's up, dude. She's like, if that happens again, do not follow it. Dude, that's fucking creepy. The dinosaur behind the rabbit. At first, I was thinking, like, they're holding the rabbit, like, oh, hey, kid, you want to come play with me behind the barn and do some weird abduction stuff. But then you got the weird little dinosaur thing.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
is
and you
that
can't.
piloting the rabbit?
Yes. 100% yes.
It's using the maggot. Jesus, the maggot. Yeah, it's
Yeah, I'm
using.
like, what?
Yeah, it's using the maggots. No, it's using the rabbit like a giant mech.
Basically.
Oh, that's so
like a
fucking weird,
puppet
dude.
that it's controlling.
Oh God.
And
That's
who
so
knows what the
weird.
intentions are, but the grandma's reaction, just like you guys indicated, is what really blew me away. I mean, well, the dinosaur blew me away first and foremost, but the grandma's
yeah.
reaction helped. And I'll continue reading here. Sage advice, here's grandmother's advice, to be sure, from what was clearly an open-minded grandmother. Or could it be that she was aware of a nefarious presence lurking on her farm in the form of a poorly disguised yet insidiously intelligent quadrupedal sauropod? Perhaps she at some point in her youth had a similar encounter and was just doing her best to keep her young grandson safe without unduly terrifying him with the implications of his encounter. These are questions that will likely remain unanswered, but David added that he was, like Sharon before him, intrigued by the sequence in Taken, the Spielberg miniseries aforementioned, depicting an animated squirrel attempting to cajole a child into its spacecraft, adding, quote, The others that had this experience so similar, mine was more clumsy. But as it left, I saw it from behind as it really was, which looked like a dinosaur. What was it?
Holy shit.
And he poses this question to us, which is hard. But
yeah, I mean, he sent me that email a while ago, and I had sent it to you a couple of times, and I'm like, dude, we got to do this story because this guy, what this guy experienced is bonkers.
And
which I believe him. He's putting it all over Reddit. I believe he thinks that it's what he saw. So I'm on board with Dave for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, I have no problem believing that. 100%. Always err on the side of witnesses. But the thing for me is, like, I didn't like go deep. I saw this and I'm like, oh yeah, we'll do an Easter Bunny episode. And I threw it in the pile to be researched at the appropriate time. So until I was doing this, like, I didn't get to the end of the story where I was like, the fuck he did.
Yeah. Dude.
What is going on?
It really, like, it's dinosaurs using a stuffed rabbit to lure kids into something that's so weird, dude. It's like a weird Dino Riders.
I don't even know. I was expecting something more like extraterrestrial.
No, same.
Yes, whatever that means, but not a fucking dinosaur.
Yeah, an invisible puppet master that's using like a stuffed bunny to, like Mark said, lure the kid around the back of the house for whatever fucking, insidious purpose.
Anything. I don't know, like tentacles, something that was extraterrestrial, anything. But it's like, no, I saw a baby dinosaur. I'm like,
it's a little tiny baby dinosaur and holding up a rabbit, and it's so fucking bizarre, dude. Dude, that's like beyond high strangeness. Can I just put that out there? I love the term high strangeness, but holy shit, that takes the cake.
Yes, agreed.
Oh, all right.
I'll continue. We're almost done here. What are we to make of David's extraordinary encounter? Strange enough to see a humanoid rabbit, but to find out that it's a hollowed out stuffed bunny being used as a costume is beyond bizarre. Nevertheless, we would be remiss if we, like so many ufologists, cryptozoologists, and paranormal investigators of the past have been wont to do, simply cherry-pick the pieces of an account that we were comfortable with while dismissing any and all elements of high strangeness. This may be convenient, but it does a real disservice in the pursuit of unvarnished truth, no matter down which dark and twisted road it may lead. And even as we are compelled down this logically thorny path, we know that the answers will not conveniently reveal themselves, and that we'll still be left with a seriously confounding mystery with no easy explanations. I mean, flashy, bevested, 10-foot-tall humanoid rabbits is a hard enough pill to take with your daily dose of bourbon, but when it's piloted by a talking dinosaur, that puts us into a whole new territory of what the fuckery. Still, all this really is simply another level of weird. Perhaps an illusion beneath an illusion, double camouflage, if you will. So we might be dealing with any combination of hallucinations, dreams, tulpas, demons, guardian angels, ultra-terrestrials, phantom prehistoric rabbits, the genuine fucking Easter Bunny, or maybe, just maybe, it's all an elaborate hoax being played out by intelligent quadrupedal dinosaurs clad in fetishistic furry suits tempting children from their homes to be used in the prehistoric equivalent of a Happy Meal. I'm voting for the latter, but the truth seems to be an altogether darker and more nebulous affair, because it seems as if various fiends are stalking our children using the guise of a beloved holiday figure, and that their ultimate goal is unknown. But we can surmise that at the baseline, it is to trigger awe in some children and a fear response in others, while those beckoning the children to follow may have an agenda too terrible to even contemplate.
Oh, dude, Easter
Bunnies.
Enigmas. Man, real quick, this thought just came across my head.
Uh-oh.
What? Yeah, this is bad. This is dark. What about the stories that we don't hear about?
Always.
Because the kids get taken or the person, like that, like, fuck. That shit's creepy.
Absolutely.
Now, granted, I'm definitely going out on a fucking 411 with that one, but, yeah.
In all these cases, the Bigfoot accounts that you don't hear about because they were ripped asunder and used as food to feed their, young, who knows what. I mean, there's probably a dark story associated with almost every phenomenon. Certainly there's stories of UFOs crashing filled with human body parts. Who knows where they were harvested
from. Okay.
So a fucking humanoid Easter Bunny, I'm sure, has some bleak angles. And hopefully we won't have to get much bleaker than this, but obviously, as I mentioned in the end, a whole lot of factors could be at work here. from the shapeshifters that the Native American family that first encountered it thought. Now that fits within their belief systems, but it doesn't mean it's not universally true. To we mentioned it only briefly, but large rabbits have been seen in conjunction with UFO sightings, and so maybe the blurry rabbit with the cool beaded vest, was an ET encounter, or maybe a lot of these are extraterrestrials cloaking themselves for a typical gray abduction scenario, but using atypical camouflage to appeal to children for whatever fucking reason. And maybe some of them are fucking dinosaurs with stuffed animals attached to their triceratops-like horns, which weren't described, and I'm just adding, so it can fucking like manipulate poor fucking Davey or Mikey or whoever the name was. I've lost already to get off the porch. David. Jesus, Dave. I'm sorry.
Yep.
Christ Almighty, that one.
Yeah, I have no answer for that one.
No, that was a weird, like I think you mentioned, that's like a weird camouflage. That's just like a strange, like, why is the dinosaur trying to tempt a kid away to do something? What does it, I mean, clearly I'm assuming.
Talking.
What did the dinosaur say? That's what I want to know.
Well, he needed help and wanted to play.
That's what I'm talking about.
Predator
I need
fucking lines, I guess. If he was in a white van, is the only way to darken the scenario any.
Typical predator lines.
A small white van behind.
I need your help. My puppy's stuck in a sewer.
It's a tiny white van for a dinosaur. God, that's fucking dark.
No, I really thought it was going to go look more extraterrestrial. I really thought something was going to be fucking space, because it almost sounded Samish. I had a Sam vibe to it before the dinosaur came into play. This weird discolored toy color thing that just looks like a toy and it's moving all fucking weird. And he's trying to lure it somewhere. And I was expecting he was going to go behind and see tentacles in a spaceship. But no, it was a dinosaur. And I'm like, I don't know what to do with this.
And that wasn't even
no fucking idea what.
It wasn't a full-size dinosaur. It was a tiny one. Which, dude, that could be a camouflage inside of it. It's like an Inception. Like, if it is an alien thing, they're like, all right, we're going to do this crazy dinosaur thing here because it's easier to maneuver. And then we're going to fuck with this kid with this rabbit over here. Like, why? I don't know. That seems like a 5D chess scenario.
Like, I feel like if I was him, and his mom's like, man, if you ever see some shit like that, don't go. And I'd be like, I feel like I'd be picking at my mom for the rest of my life to be like, hey, remember that time when I saw Baby Dinosaur with the goddamn rabbit? Like, what did you mean if I ever saw that again? Because I feel like you know some shit. Like,
I mean, like you're definitely you're hiding something from me for sure. Like,
is there some? What is going on there?
You're not like, holy shit, that's weird. You're like, no, stay away from that.
It would definitely be cool to find out, like, if he ever readdressed this with his grandmother. I mean, she was born in 1889, so I don't know how long. I mean, I had a grandmother born in the same year, and she didn't make it much past the mid 80s, and she was pretty old. But yeah, to like see if she ever picked the brain, because Chris is right. You're right too, Mark, in that she definitely did not seem like to laugh it off like almost all the other parents. Like, you were dreaming, you were sleeping, you've seen too many Easter specials. This was like, if this thing tells you to come with it, you do not do that. Now, is that simply because she's a God-fearing woman and she just instantly assumes something that fucking weird is demonic, which could just be a baseline level, like, or just that something that weird should just not be bothering her grandson, period. Maybe she was just open-minded enough to be like, whatever this fucking thing is, stay away. Just forget about it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to guess it did not have good intentions.
Because if it weren't for the startled chickens, David admits he would have probably followed it on this little romp.
Yeah.
And what little kid wouldn't follow a stuffed animal that's, I mean, when you're in that, like right before, the reality of reality hits you, for all the good and ill that is of growing up, when you go from, I don't know, when you start entering your tween years, or even maybe a little before then, when you start really getting a grasp between what's imaginary and what's concrete. Even though, of course, for people like us, it's still pretty nebulous. But when you're before that phase, literally anything. I remember I had like a Goofy doll, and I was pretending to make it talk to my great nephew Liam when he was like a year and a half old, and he marveled. Like, he didn't get that was me controlling it, and his eyes widened, and he was just like, oh. And so you can really be in that place for a certain amount of time and just run with it. And sometimes kids tell stories like, oh, I played with the Care Bears. It was a great time. There was fairies in my grandma's garden, and I came home, and it was 3 hours later, and everyone's like, where were you? But everything was fine. And sometimes, like Mark was saying, it might not end so well, and nobody knows what the fuck happened. Because the Fae love to steal people. So let's not take the Fae off the table.
Yeah, I was gonna go right to Fae. I mean, I really want to dig into the whole tulpa thought, like the whole like thought form thing. But like, it almost seems like this could be like some weird Fae camo thing. Which, I mean, if you're trying to get a kid, whether it's if you're using like Santa Claus or like the Easter Bunny or something, what better way to be like, oh hey kid, come with me? I mean, obviously the weird rabbit thing, staring down grandma, phasing out or whatever, dying from the sunlight, like some weird vampire fucking combo. Yeah, I guess fairy trickster fairies, is that a thing? Crossover trickster fairies?
Sure.
Huh?
Why couldn't
at this point,
after the dinosaur, everything's possible. Like it doesn't matter.
yeah, it's just umbrella chemistry. Just mix the whole fucking thing. Just mix
Dude,
it
wait,
all.
hold on, you guys. This is under my umbrella, Ella.
Yeah.
There you go.
And let's be
Nice.
honest, why wouldn't the trickster gods that are, noted in Native American lore be the rough equivalent or the regional equivalent to, pixies, brownies, goblins, whatever in European lore? Like, who's to say, like, different populations of humanity migrating over the Bering Strait and however else they ended up populating the world, that these other creatures that we share the world with that have like, properties that we consider magical, but for them are just evolutionary, they can't coexist and do some of the same strange things like stealing kids or just fucking around with people for the sake of fucking around with people. Like, a lot of it does seem like jokes. Most of these aren't particularly dangerous or frightening. Like, you see a giant bunny hopping in your backyard, or another one wearing a vest and blurs through, or there's a black bunny looking in your window, and that kid's not scared at all. He's happy as a clam.
Yeah.
He's like, woo. Now, the shaman that talked to the mother was like, that's a shapeshifter, back the fuck off.
Right.
But the kid wasn't worried about it. And now maybe that's part of its evil, tempting ways. And of course, we live in we live in a bright age of a lot of hope, but we also live in kind of a dark age where we tend to take a pessimistic view of things sometimes. And it's impossible not to look at this without seeing the potential threat, even if it's not always manifesting.
Yeah.
You kind of always got to keep that there, like, I think in a lot of these cases, like, all right, something may not have happened, but like, I don't know, man, safety first,
Right.
Like, you got to not mess with this stuff.
But I feel like if they did, I mean, like a lot of these we're seeing like outside or whatever through a window. I'm like, why not? Then why not just appear in the house?
Right. They don't seem to be beckoning kids to come out.
No, there doesn't seem to be a thing. It's just like, I saw it, hopped over some bushes, booked. Kind of colorful, maybe not.
Had a sweet Elton John vest.
Yeah.
Dope
Just like,
as
what?
shit.
What's the point, Ag? What are we doing?
And
yeah,
here's another thing.
There's no interaction. Yeah.
Two similarities I noticed. A lot of the cases had people sleeping with adults who couldn't get up or didn't get up during their encounter.
Yeah.
So that's one interesting thing. The other thing is, some of them took place obviously when the children were alone, including David's account, but two of them, why am I drawing? Sharon and the other woman, I think, that were both on Singular 14, were looking through a glass door when they just happened to see, one with a vest and one purplish blue, a rabbit hopping in their backyard, indiscriminately giving, well, one looked at her, but not really giving much of a fuck about the kids. So it's like two sliding glass doors, you're preoccupied, it's Easter, and you see it. And the Easter connection is what blends these together. Because obviously there's big rabbit stories like Mr. Black from Beyond Creepy mentioned, all throughout paranormal lore, but we dealt specifically with Easter-oriented stories. So why would they manifest on that day if they're not, trying to give the kids a treat, trying to tempt the kids away, trying to just mix up the pot so that some people will have a sense of wonder that lasts longer than others that are more cynical, perhaps? It's not all negative, but it's but I'm really wondering why so many of the kids happen to be with sleeping adults who did not wake up. Even though they really wanted them to. And in one case, in the air mattress with the boyfriend and the mom, like the kid was actively really trying to wake them up and they wouldn't respond. That also smacks of alien abduction scenarios where the victim is awake and dealing with this shit, but the people, like their spouse or whoever's sleeping next to them, totally immobile as if they're paralyzed and knocked out in some cosmic power or some shit.
Interesting.
There's so much. Like Chris said, it's a super umbrella and it's raining inside the fucking umbrella.
Oh, it's raining rabbits.
It's almost impossible to delineate between tulpa, shapeshifter, demon, fucking alien abduction, or fucking inquisitive, intelligent dinosaurs that like to dick around and maybe just wanted to playmate. Maybe it came out of fucking like 65 million years of hibernation. It's like, got an animal, need a friend, only here for a while, and then I gotta go back to sleep. Hey, buddy, well, fucking help me out.
I mean,
Yeah, there it is. Well,
And he lost his chance to be best friends with a dino bunny.
oh man, there it is.
But
Thank
Dave, you probably made the right call. If you're
Yeah,
listening
no, you
to this.
did.
You
No,
made the
stay away
right
from
call.
that.
Yeah, and plus these are all children's accounts, and we all know
Oh.
Whimsy of a child. That almost made
Whimsy.
it into the story. Yeah.
And it's not like I don't believe that these are 100% made up, but
Right.
I mean the chances that every one of these accounts are all 100% accurate is slim, right? Like
There's got to be some
That's
deviation
fair.
there for sure.
No, that's legitimate and fair.
Skeptically,
it's
we
just
always
trying to
have
weed out what is the most accurate parts and what isn't. I guess
Yeah.
since it was impossible because it's all just anecdotal.
Yeah. No, totally. Yeah, but skeptically, yes, there are. These very well could just be weird dream states, like you were talking about, fever dream, misidentifying something. The whole thing with the glass door got me thinking, like, man, did they see like a decoration or something, like at a weird angle, and all of a sudden get all freaked out, because the whole glass door thing? But sun's shining just right. Got a Easter bunny in the background.
Oh, they're looking at some sort of weird mosaic
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
thing through a window, and it
Yeah,
just was like, oh my god.
Oh God, oh no.
I could
Or then
see-
again, man.
Being startled
Tulpas.
by something like that, being startled initially, I can't
yeah.
see like the full-on antics that both the eyewitnesses described going
Right.
down if you're just getting fooled by an Easter decoration hanging in the kitchen that's reflecting on a glass
that
door.
is true.
Like I could see being like, what the fuck? But then you get it. You don't see it like
Yeah.
hopping around, jumping over fences, wearing a sweet vest, maybe not.
Now these
No.
kids are all hopped up on Easter with their candy and all their whatnots, just creating weird tulpa thought forms everywhere, and they're all just getting too excited. But you got to relax. Okay?
So let's call it for what it is.
get the
in
kids
some
to
ways.
relax. Calm down.
Like you're saying, I mean, a valid theory. Tulpa's usually like right near the bottom of the barrel of theories that I will fucking dredge up for a lot of reasons. Mostly because there's a lot of things a lot of people believe in, and they don't manifestly just show up regularly. Otherwise,
Right.
we'd constantly having Jesus walking down streets and fucking all sorts of religious figures and weird things happening constantly. If enough people believing was enough to make it manifest, but in this case, it is a bunch of kids who legitimately believe in the existence of this creature.
Yeah.
So could it be that this thought process and being shared by so many people in the surrounding area is enough to allow something like this to form, even if it does disintegrate in the light of day?
Oh,
Warms you up, throws a blanket on you,
Yeah.
stares weird at your grandma, but maybe you got a hot grandma. I'm not here to judge.
dude.
And fucking maybe
Check
that's
it
what
out,
the bunny's
Graham,
into,
dude. If Graham,
Hey,
if Graham's got that cake, you never know, dude. Just
that's
checking
what I'm
her
talking
out.
about.
There
I'm not
it
here to
is.
judge a bunny's taste.
I don't know.
But I'm
Ah,
just,
there.
but if there's one
Yeah.
place where a thought form might be the answer, this might be it. But of course, then the insidious flip side is that, of course, a nefarious force would definitely be able to employ that as a tactic for camouflage to ingratiate itself or somehow make itself a part of a child's world in a way that they felt was innocent at the time, as most of these kids did, really. But that really had a dark undertone that thankfully most of them didn't have to experience because they lived to tell the tale.
Well, there it is. Thank
Yeah.
you all so very much for joining us, the Cryptonaut Podcast. Robert, we got patreon.com/Cryptonaut Podcast. We got some shout outs to do for the good folks that support us over there. Robert, let's do those shout outs.
Jamila.
Thank you, Jamila.
Dimension 9 shirts.
Hell yeah, what up?
Nth Soccer 4206.
Thank you so much.
Definitely not the Hat Man. Oh, fuck you. I think
Oh, my
we
God.
saw right through that, buddy. Thanks, Hat Man. I mean,
Thank you.
not the Hat Man.
Yeah, thank you.
Jackson Kane.
Hell yeah, Jackson.
Oh,
Thank you
it should
so
be a
much.
private dick. That's a good name.
Hell yeah.
Vera Campbell. Oh, you should be his like for long secretary who like works with him and has many loves on the side but keeps his drunk ass going. Jackson Kane and Vera Campbell on the case.
I like it.
Sorry, Adam Masadi, you're not involved in this book, but thank you for supporting us.
Thank you, Adam.
Fishman? Yeah, you're there. You're the
Yeah.
informant, dude. You're the informant.
go.
You live in the
There it
docks.
is.
You fish. You're fishman.
Nice.
Aliens for Beginners pod. Oh, I guess that's
Oh.
pod.
All
Good
right.
shit. I can't wait to check it out.
Thank you.
Laura Jordan.
Thank you, Laura.
Tom Devaney.
Tommy Devaney.
Oh my God, Tommy Devaney, notorious mobster, certainly involved in our detective thing. All right, Adam Masadi, you're the cop. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have kicked you out.
All right, fine. And they're all going to Tommy
You're the
Devaney.
lieutenant. You're there. You're not going to take his shit, but you also know he's helping you on cases. So he's a good guy. And you'll throw him a bottle of bourbon at Christmas. Adam Masadi, you're the book. The rest of you guys, well, Jamila, you're there too. And soccer, goddamn. All right, you're all in. You're all in the book.
You're creating an entire narrative here, okay?
Well, it's going to be the Hat Man murders, but one of them is going to be not the Hat Man because there's got to be denial. Just saying.
Okay, all right. I think. But
Fishman knows better because he's on the docks and he hears the dope.
COVID mouth has you getting so close to that mic all the time.
Oh man, I'm sorry. I can't help
it. You love eating your microphone.
I do. I'm leaning forward. I'm trying to read this shit with my fucking.
If you keep talking that close to the mic, you're going to give Chris and I COVID over the internet.
Oh my God. All right.
Did you know that can happen?
No.
Are you happy?
Happen. You're lying.
Don't do these conspiracy theories.
You're a lying liar.
You're right, Christ. I didn't think of someone somewhere is going to be like, oh, this fucking podcast, you can get COVID over the internet. Anyway, thank you all for supporting us at Patreon. Again, that is Cryptonaut Podcast. Patreon.com/Cryptonaut Podcast. Check it out over there if you want some bonus audio content. We got some merch, boys. We got hellerspace.com. We got cryptonautmerch.com. Once we are back together, I got some test prints to show everybody. Then we're going to put that merch up there and get that for sale. Again, that will be at cryptonautmerch.com. And, of course, Hellerspace through TeePublic. Sign up for the emails and the text messages because whenever there's a sale, they'll shoot it out, which is super cool. It's awesome there. The social medias, we're there. We're doing it. The Instas and the Twitters and the Facebook. Everyone's social. Everyone's in media. We're having that happen over there. And, yeah, that's it. There's all that. So thank you all for joining us this week, this day after Easter, weird, enigmatic bunny celebration of strange shit, which ended with a dinosaur, which ended with a dinosaur,
which is you can't ask for more. For Easter, that's our Easter gift to you, and thank you, David, for sharing it with us. And I'm sorry we couldn't really get to the bottom of it. Of course, how could we? But thank you for sharing, and it was fucking incredible.
Yes, no, we appreciate that, David. Thank you so very much for the email. And yeah, there y'all have it. We'll be talking with you soon. And Robert, so this you potted successfully with COVID. Congratulations.
You did.
Yep.
You did. You did really good.
Trooper.
Great. I was nervous you were going to get tired, man. And when I had COVID, I was fucking tired all the time, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't sit in front of a computer for more than like an hour this whole week. I've been beat.
Yeah.
But today I managed to write, ate a lot of fruits.
You sound better. I
feel better. I feel a lot better.
That's good.
So I'm getting there, and yeah.
We're just going to keep you pumped full of those antivirals and keep you sucking down your water and keep you off the goddamn orange juice. And there you go. You'll be good to go. A little bit of scope will help with that. Dr. Doommouth's going to go away. Don't worry.
That metal mouth is just a fucking killer. Yeah. Oh, my God.
Christ, that sucks.
Yes, it does.
All right. There it is. We're talking to you soon.
Goodbye, friends. Goodbye. See ya.
Ho, UFO. Oh, you better listen to the Patreon from last week for that. Document Terry.
Do not.
Code Terry.
Oh, God.
Talking to you.
Now I'm going to
Goodbye.
die.